Live at 5, this is 13 News Now.
10 stray dogs found over the weekend are now in good hands. One of those dogs once belonged to a woman in Virginia Beach. And tonight she's wondering how the dog ended up in the hands of animal control.
And Jacqueline, microchipping helped with this unexpected reunion.
Well, Janet, once that dog was found, the microchip led animal control to contact his former owner. But that owner said the dog was so unrecognizable, she initially didn't even believe it was the dog she once had.
As you can see, there's a lesion here.
This is Jake.
He has 2 different types of worms at this point.
He's not doing too well.
He was in perfect health when he went to the rescue center.
It's been a year since Chris Dillon last saw him. She went through a divorce and said Jake developed behavioral issues, so she surrendered him to a rescue.
You assume when you send to a rescue group that your animal is going to be tended for the way that you couldn't.
Dillon said the rescue assured her they would take care of Jake for the rest of his life. But about a year later, this past Saturday, Dillon said she got a call from Norfolk Animal Care Center that Jake, as well as 9 other dogs, were found on an abandoned property.
I was crying my eyes out. He's so emaciated. He's got no muscle tone. He's just bone. I mean, he looks like he's smaller than he was when he was 2 years old, when he was a puppy when I got him.
What happened to Jake over the past year remains a mystery.
And this is his sister. This is what he's supposed to look like.
And while his body provides clues as to what happened,
and his average weight was about 88 pounds. And as you can see today, he runs between 50 and 55 pounds.
Dillon says the guilt will never go away.
To have no body mass and to have lesions all over him, this is neglect. This is severe neglect. No one does this to a dog.
The Norfolk Animal Care Center confirmed they received 10 dogs this past weekend from animal control. Now, we have a lot of questions for animal control, like how they found the dogs and who was responsible for their care, but they have not returned our calls. Jacqueline Lee, 13 News Now.
Only on 13 News Now, a religious cross that a Virginia Beach student held close to his heart. The boy's mother telling 13 News Now her son wasn't allowed inside the Renaissance Academy wearing the cross necklace because of the dress code. And it wasn't just any cross necklace. The cross holds the ashes of the boy's stepfather. Jemmy Lee joins us now live from Virginia Beach. And Jemmy, the mother tells you her son stood out in the pouring rain as well.
That's right. Her child is part of the CSEP program here at Renaissance Academy, and it is school policy that CSEP students do not wear jewelry to school. However, this mother told me that it was absolutely uncalled for the way the school handled this situation, and she wants the school to review its disciplinary procedure so that this never happens again. It was about 11:15 Tuesday morning when Melody Krieger got this voicemail from her son's school.
Brennan has pretty much been outside all morning. He's refusing to come inside the building. He has a necklace. I wanted to give you a call at this point because it was raining and he just basically stood in the rain.
Melody says her son was left outside in the pouring rain for hours, all because he wouldn't take off his cross necklace, which holds the ashes of his stepfather.
They didn't offer him breakfast or lunch, and he normally eats breakfast and lunch at school. So here he is, not only did they not provide him an education, but they couldn't even provide him safety or shelter or even, school lunch.
Jewelry is prohibited for students in the CSEP program, but Melody says she isn't upset that her son was disciplined, but the manner in which he was disciplined was just plain wrong.
It just seemed very inhumane to me, and if I had locked my child out of the house in the rain with nothing to eat and didn't let him in, CPS would be all over me.
She also doesn't know why the school waited 4 hours before they contacted her.
I was actually not even at work yet, so I could have left straight from home and came to get him, and he could have just stayed at home, where he could have had shelter and food and been safe.
Melody says school officials eventually apologized, saying the situation was mishandled. But she says that's not enough. She wants the school to take extra steps to make sure this doesn't ever happen again.
I would like for someone to be reprimanded, retrained or something, because there's nothing else they can do now. The damage, like I said, has already been done.
Now, I did talk to a school official who told me he could not specifically comment on any incident or student, but he did tell me that it is not school policy to leave students outside the building when they're being disciplined. Live in Virginia Beach, I'm Jemmy Lee, 13 News Now.
Police tracked down a convicted sex offender on the run all the way across the country. U.S. Marshals arrested the man last night in San Francisco, more than 2,500 miles away from his Norfolk home. The man arrested is 59-year-old Daniel Nickerson. Norfolk police put out warrants for his arrest back in June 2014. Nickerson did not show up to hearings for charges of aggravated sexual battery and indecent liberties with a minor. Earlier this year, someone reached out to the police crime line and said Nickerson was probably homeless in San Francisco. The tip turned out to be true, and marshals arrested Nickerson outside a homeless shelter in downtown San Francisco. Virginia State Police were also looking for Nickerson for failing to register as a sex offender. In 2005, he was convicted in Connecticut on a charge of risk of injury to a minor child.
A new study shows racial disparity when it comes to the military justice system. The report comes from Protect Our Defenders, a not-for-profit human rights organization. The study finds African-American troops are much more likely than whites to face a court-martial or other forms of military punishment. Overall, black service members were as much as 2 times more likely to have an action taken against them. Researchers looked at numbers across the Air Force, Marine Corps, Navy, and Army. They claim these numbers may indicate discrimination. Candle is being blamed for causing a house fire in James City County this morning. The fire was in the Berkeley's Garden subdivision. No one was injured, but the home has damage from the flames and the smoke. A health advisory on the Eastern Shore. There's a swim advisory in effect for Cape Charles Town Beach. Testing from the health department found bacteria levels in the water were above state standards. Signs are up at the beach warning people to stay out of the water. Health officials take weekly samples from Cape Charles during the summer. The beach will reopen once bacteria levels are lower.
All right, take a look at this video from the Outer Banks. Joseph Bagatti posted this online on Facebook and YouTube, showing dozens of stingrays that washed ashore after getting caught up in a net. Bagatti says he worked to try to return as many rays as he could back to the ocean. All right, running with the torch for the Special Olympics. Today, local law enforcement participated in the run ahead of the Summer Games ceremony in Richmond. There are several legs of the torch run here in Hampton Roads. The route goes all the way from Virginia Beach to the edge of Suffolk. Agencies in Chesapeake, Norfolk, Portsmouth, Suffolk, and Virginia Beach all work together to make it happen. And today, the torch went through Virginia Beach and Norfolk. Tomorrow, it will go through Chesapeake, Portsmouth, and Suffolk.
NOAA is reporting that most of the U.S. experienced a warmer and wetter spring than on average. That also applies to Hampton Road. Let's take a look at the numbers between March and May of this year. In that span, the average temperature was 3.5 degrees above normal. We also experienced a lot of rain. We had 6 inches more rain again than normal. Coming up in less